health warriors. Recently, Hurricane Milton has drawn the world's attention. The eye of Hurricane Milton had wind speeds of up to 120 miles per hour, with even stronger gusts. The U.S. National Weather Service stated, the northern eye of Hurricane Milton is moving inland along the Gulf Coast of Florida near Tampa and St. Petersburg, where extreme wind warnings are in effect. Seek shelter immediately, as these extremely dangerous hurricane winds are spreading throughout the area. Heavy rainfall and extremely dangerous winds in the Tampa Bay area have caused severe flooding, tornadoes, and sea surges up to 1.5 meters. Over 3 million homes have lost power, thousands of families have been severely impacted, and the material and emotional losses are enormous. So, what will happen to the health of people in these areas after the storm has passed? Beyond the damage to infrastructure, the risks of flooding and the aftermath of the storm can seriously affect people's health, especially for those with chronic conditions such as kidney disease, cardiovascular disease, or diabetes. In this video, let's explore how Hurricane Milton's aftermath impacts our health and discuss ways to protect yourself and your family after the storm. Be sure to watch the entire video, save it, and stay alert to potential health risks so you can proactively safeguard your health. 1. Risk of infection and waterborne diseases. Due to water contamination. After a hurricane, there are always concerns about flash floods and prolonged heavy rains. Despite the lack of precise reports on the storm's flooding impact, prolonged heavy rains will directly affect this area in the coming days. Therefore, the key right now is to proactively prevent health risks related to water contamination. Hurricane Milton is expected to cause devastating floods in the areas it affects. Floodwaters may carry household waste, factory pollutants, and livestock farm waste. Floodwater can easily harbor pathogens, bacteria, viruses, or chemicals that can attack our bodies, weaken our immune system, and make us more susceptible to diseases. One extremely dangerous concern is the presence of industrial waste and chemicals from factories, which bring harmful substances like heavy metals, lead, mercury, arsenic, into the water source. Prolonged exposure can cause damage to organs such as the liver, kidneys, and nervous system. Therefore, we need to proactively store clean water and minimize the use of or contact with contaminated floodwater. 2. Respiratory diseases. Storms and floods not only devastate buildings and topple trees, but also cause sudden drops in temperature and humidity. This is one of the major factors affecting our respiratory system, especially for patients with respiratory conditions such as bronchitis, pneumonia, or asthma. In addition, sudden changes in ambient temperature and humidity will be ideal conditions for microorganisms to grow, and airborne bacteria and molds will multiply and spread the fastest. It is these factors that can cause serious problems for our respiratory system, such as allergic rhinitis, bronchitis, and increase the risk of upper and lower respiratory tract infections. A humid environment will also cause allergens such as mold spores to spread faster, causing the body to react with symptoms such as continuous sneezing, runny nose, itchy eyes, and difficulty breathing. In particular, people with underlying respiratory diseases such as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, or cardiovascular disease may have difficulty adapting to this sudden change in temperature. Rapid temperature drops cause blood vessels to constrict, increasing pressure on the blood vessels and heart, which can lead to shortness of breath or chest pain. People with lung disease are more susceptible to airway constriction, making coughing, chest tightness, and difficulty breathing worse. In addition to environmental factors, a problem that is also very important for our daily life is that the power source is affected, and many places lose power for a long time. Along with extreme weather conditions, while we do not have full precautionary equipment such as heaters, air purifiers, or air conditioners, it is more difficult than ever to prevent the risk of infection. To prevent health problems after storms and floods, we need to pay attention to maintaining good hygiene and a living environment. If there are any abnormal signs such as shortness of breath, prolonged cough, or chest tightness, it is necessary to quickly go to a medical facility for timely examination and treatment. 3. Anxiety, stress, and psychological problems. Hurricane Milton passed through, destroying many construction works, sweeping away many improvements, creating heavy psychological pressure for people in this area. People who worry about the danger of life, damage to construction works, falling trees, and the storm itself, or worry about loss of people and property, can lead to serious psychological problems such as stress, anxiety, sleep disorders, or depression. After the storm, the situation can be even worse when we have to face many difficulties and losses. Loss of loved ones, bankruptcy, pennilessness, and similar situations are the main causes leading to the state of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Many people feel dizzy, hopeless, or disoriented when everything familiar around them is in chaos. This not only affects the psychological state, but also negatively affects overall health, because prolonged stress and tension will weaken the immune system, affect organ function, and in the long term will lead to serious diseases, especially for people with underlying diseases such as diabetes and cardiovascular disease. Prolonged stress can make the disease worse. Stress will stimulate the mechanism to produce the hormones cortisol and adrenaline, which work to increase blood pressure, heart rate, and blood sugar. If not controlled immediately, it can lead to dangerous diseases such as high blood pressure, kidney failure, or even depression. For people with chronic diseases, especially kidney failure, there will be difficulties in regulating the water and electrolyte balance in the body. And when stress is prolonged, the body has to work harder to balance these factors, leading to a rapid decline in kidney function. In addition, stress can also lead to conditions such as sleep disorders, loss of appetite, or insomnia. And when we do not get enough sleep, the body does not have enough time to recover and heal the cells of the damaged cavity. This will make us tired, weak, and have headaches. This also leads to negative manifestations, such as losing concentration and being easily irritated. For children, psychological changes can manifest differently than adults. There may be sudden changes in behavior, becoming shy or easily agitated, and having frequent nightmares. Therefore, parents and adults also need to observe and care for children more during this period. To limit negative psychological activities, psychological support is extremely important. Start by creating a safe and comfortable environment for yourself and your family, maintaining connections between people and friends. If possible, seek help from psychological counselors. For those with underlying conditions, it is important to monitor your health, take your medications on time, and do the recommended exercises to stay in the best spirits. Remember, in difficult times, keeping a positive spirit and thinking positively is the key to helping you and your family overcome psychological difficulties most effectively. Fourth, risk of health problems due to poor sanitation. After the storm, environmental sanitation will be a major concern. Lack of clean water and poor sanitation are two leading factors leading to the risk of disease outbreaks. Domestic water can be contaminated by industrial waste, chemicals, or overflowing sewers. The accumulation of garbage, decomposing animal carcasses, or toxic industrial waste will increase the risk of skin diseases such as scabies, skin fungus, etc. Not only that, polluted water sources also increase the risk of infectious diseases such as malaria, dengue fever, Japanese encephalitis, etc. After storms and floods, stagnant water is an ideal environment for mosquitoes to breed and develop. For people with underlying diseases such as chronic kidney disease, poor sanitation can lead to serious health problems. To reduce the risk of diseases caused by poor hygiene during and after floods, maintaining personal and environmental hygiene is extremely important. Try to ensure that you use clean or boiled water in your daily activities, and wash your hands regularly with antibacterial soap. If you have to come into contact with dirty water or mud after floods, remember to wear gloves, rubber shoes, and avoid touching your face without cleaning your hands. 5. Risk of worsening of chronic diseases. For people with chronic diseases such as kidney disease, liver disease, cardiovascular disease, or diabetes, times like this will be more difficult than ever. Medical conditions are lacking, medical centers become overloaded, and treatment is difficult. The risk of worsening and not being treated in time threatens the patient's life. The storm has devastated the infrastructure system, and the transportation system is affected. Travel is difficult. Many hospitals and clinics have had to limit operations or temporarily close due to power outages, water shortages, and the supply of medical equipment is also hindered. This is the time when the health and lives of people with chronic diseases are always in a state of alarm, especially in cases of complications such as high blood pressure, stroke, or acute kidney failure. If there is no timely medical intervention, the patient is likely to face the risk of death. To limit the negative impacts on the health of patients with chronic diseases, careful and proactive preparation is essential. It is necessary to ensure an adequate stock of necessary medications, clean water sources, and basic medical equipment such as blood pressure monitors and blood glucose meters to monitor health status regularly. If possible, ensure that there is a plan to contact the nearest doctor or medical facility in case of emergency. After the storm and flood, focus on maintaining a safe living environment, ensuring personal hygiene and a reasonable diet, limiting the risk of infection or complications caused by chronic diseases. If there are signs of worsening health, contact medical support immediately for timely treatment. 6. Risk of injury and accident. During storms and floods, the risk of injuries and accidents is extremely high due to strong winds and prolonged heavy rainfall in the affected areas. Dangerous incidents such as falling trees, flying roofs, and heavy or sharp objects being blown away by the wind can endanger us. It is necessary to be vigilant against flash floods, landslides, and collapsed works causing accidents. After the storm passes, we have to face the consequences of the storm, the wreckage of which needs to be cleaned up and overcome. At times like this, there are more potential risks of injury than ever. Clean up in sprawling conditions of sharp debris. Just a slip or step on a broken piece of glass or being crushed by a heavy object is enough to cause serious injuries that require immediate medical attention. So, what is the solution to protect health after a storm? To ensure the health of ourselves and our families during this difficult time, we need to proactively master health protection solutions as follows. 1. Priority number. 1 is to ensure safe water sources. Storing clean water for daily life and eating is our top priority because water pollution is the most common risk factor for health effects after storms and floods. Each family should actively store clean water in water tanks and tanks. Keep clean water in bottles to ensure there is a clean source of water for eating and drinking. 2. Need to maintain personal hygiene. Protect yourself by avoiding sources of disease such as polluted water, humid areas that are at risk of harboring bacteria, such as mold, bacteria, or viruses that cause disease. Wash your hands regularly with soap and clean water, especially before eating and after contact with contaminated water. Use protective equipment when cleaning and overcoming the consequences of storms and floods. For children, limit playing in stagnant water or muddy areas to avoid the risk of infection. 3. Need to monitor health status and treat early. For people with underlying diseases such as kidney disease, diabetes, or cardiovascular disease, it is necessary to pay attention to regular health monitoring. Medical deficiencies can threaten their health and lives. Therefore, take precautions against the worst-case scenarios, prepare enough medicines and emergency medicines, and have a reasonable travel plan during storms and floods to get to medical facilities in time when an incident occurs. 4. Need to keep your body warm. A sharp drop in temperature along with a lack of electricity may make you susceptible to cold. We need to pay attention to keeping our bodies warm to avoid diseases such as colds and pneumonia, and to limit dangerous complications of chronic diseases. Keep your body warm by wearing thick clothing, socks, scarves, and hats when necessary. Avoid soaking in floodwater for a long time, going outside when it is raining, or through flooded water areas when it is not necessary. When exposed to rain and floodwater, change wet clothes as soon as possible and dry your body quickly. 5. Psychological support. Prepare yourself mentally to cope with the aftermath of storms and floods, with the mindset that people's lives are the priority. Accept the facts and try to get enough sleep, avoiding excessive stress that will adversely affect health. Stay connected with relatives and friends. If you are too stressed, you need to seek help from psychologists. For children, it is necessary to spend time caring, listening, and sharing emotions, helping them feel safe from unexpected changes. By proactively identifying and addressing these risks, we can minimize the storm's impact on our health and keep ourselves and our families in tip-top shape. Wish you always be safe and healthy to overcome the difficulties brought by storms and floods. If you find this video useful, please share it with the community of people in the storm and flood areas. Help them prevent diseases after the storm to overcome the great losses and consequences that the Milton storm passed through. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to watch the latest health videos. See you in the next videos.